Hi everyone, my name's Dan and I'm part of the iChurch team. In this video I want to show you a little bit about what iChurch can do for you, for your church, for your faith-based organisation, and see what a powerful tool it can be. iChurch is the United Reformed Church's own website provider. It's not open to churches only, it's not open to United Reformed churches only, but we specialise in church websites and we understand the trials and tribulations of editing a church website, how time consuming it can sometimes be, and indeed just how many late nights you may end up spending editing your church website. And what we do at iChurch is we try and make that much more of an accessible thing to do. We make your website easier to edit. iChurch is based on WordPress, which the saying goes, if you can use Word, as in Microsoft Word, then you can use WordPress. It is that simple and that intuitive to use. So there's very little training required to be able to do the basics of editing your iChurch website. For just £150 plus VAT, we will set up your church website for you. You send us the information, we'll put it onto your website and build a website that we, from experience, know is going to be accessible, easy to use, easy to edit, and most importantly, a powerful tool for mission. Because iChurch is built on WordPress, there's not really a limit to the amount of things you can have on your website. Some of the most powerful, the biggest websites in the world are built on WordPress because there's so much that you can do with it. Or, if you don't want to add all those bells and whistles, you can just have a simple website with some simple information on about perhaps when you meet for worship, what's going on in your church during the week, and who to contact for various bits and bobs in your church. So now I'm going to show you a couple of features of iChurch so you get an indication of just what it could do for your church. So I'd like to welcome you to one of our tutorial sites. So it's not a site of an actual church, although you can see St John's Hill URC Sevenoaks here, but we've got loads of different pictures on here and all sorts of information just to give you a flavour of what iChurch is all about. So starting at the top, we've got this header here. And this is a header in the sense that it's on every single page, so people will always see this information. You can see we've got some contact icons here as well, so people can easily get a link to your Facebook, Twitter, email or YouTube. There are plenty more icons as well, so if you have other platforms that you use, then we can arrange that for you. Next, we've got the menu, and the menu is key to any website, but especially key to church websites. If your menu is not intuitive, if your menu is not obvious where people need to go to get certain bits of information, then it's going to make people's lives really difficult and they're not going to stay on your website. So planning a menu ahead of time is really important, and that's something that the iChurch team will do with you so that you're able to get the best menu possible and make your site accessible to visitors. As we scroll down, you'll notice the menu disappears, but it turns into what we call a sticky menu. So it stays stuck at the top, but it's also slightly transparent so that you can still see what's going on. But this creates a nice effect and means that people can still see what's on the menu. This bit at the top is a slider, and you can put as many images as you want on here, and people can either navigate like this using the arrows, or it will automatically play like a slideshow. So there's all sorts of bits of information you could put on here. These are like your headlines perhaps. Moving down, this is just how we structured this site, but there's plenty of other ways you could structure a site. We've got 3 columns here of some key information, so where we meet, when we meet, and what to expect. And I want to pick up on the what to expect bit here, because one of the things that we're finding is really crucial part of your website is what to expect, or if you want to call it the I'm new section. So I'm new to church, or I'm new to this church, what do I need to know? And so these parts are really important for that. Moving down, we've got a kind of a timeline of our latest news. So we've got 3 generic bits of information here. They're not real. But this is just to show you and gives people a flavour of the latest news in the church at the time. Scrolling down to the bottom, we've got a footer, which we usually split into 3 columns. So again, a footer, like a header, will be consistent on every single page. So this is where you might put your key contact information, you might put a Facebook feed, or indeed, like we've done here, a little gallery of just some key photos. And then we've got our social media icons again. When you first get your iChurch website, you might not know exactly what information to put on it. Or even before we've made it, you might not know what to put on it. But that's where we come in, because the iChurch team have a vast experience of building websites, particularly for churches, and we know what information is useful and what information, quite crucially, is not useful to put on a church website. Because useful information is super useful to people, but information that's not useful will put people off your website and then they might not visit it again. But the way we've structured this site gives you a flavour of how you might want to do it for your own. And that might give you an idea of the kind of information you need to get hold of or provide to us so that we can put it on the website for you. Initially, when we build your site, we will put that information onto the website. Afterwards, it will be you who edits the site, but you're certainly not on your own. And that's where the iChurch team come in, because we can offer training to you. We can also direct you to lots of different resources as well. Because iChurch is built on WordPress, which is the most popular website provider in the entire world, approximately a third of websites are built using WordPress, there is a vast wealth of resources out there that we couldn't possibly point you to them all, but there are so many things that you can access on your own. But we can also point you to resources as well as to our own tutorial videos that we've produced to take you through the entire process of editing a website, all the different elements of your iChurch website. We have a tutorial video for it, and we can produce more as the need arises. We also offer training, usually en masse, to help reduce the cost. So we'll have up to 10 churches in a training session, and because they can be run on Zoom, then it helps reduce the cost to you. We can also offer bespoke training to individual churches or to a group of churches perhaps. So that means you can get tailored training to your needs, and we can go as fast as the slowest person. Tailored training is really beneficial and really helps to gel a team of website editors together as well. Because one thing we would encourage is that if possible, the more the merrier really in terms of people editing your website, within reason. And you might want to allocate a particular part of the website to each person. And that really helps to reduce the workload so much. Obviously, we appreciate it's not always possible to have a team of people editing your website. And so that's where the training can really help to make the process a more efficient one, so that you're not spending hours and hours editing your church website alone. So how do we edit a page? Well, you can see this black bar at the top means that I'm already logged into my administrator account. And so actually I can still go around the entire website and look at what we call the front end. And the front end is, as the name suggests, it's the end that visitors to your website will see. What we do as webmasters is we edit our website in the back end. And that doesn't look quite the same as the front end, because there's lots more that we can do as webmasters compared to obviously our average visitors to the site. But I'm going to click on a random page here, let's say this one about the United Reformed Church, and this is a generic piece of information that we can provide to you and put on your website. But on any of my pages, when I'm logged in, I can just click Edit Page. And you'll see we've got all the information here that was on the front end of our website. When we click on a particular area, you'll see we've got lots of formatting options here. We can make things bold, we can make things underlined with Ctrl U. There's all sorts of the stuff you would expect to see on Microsoft Word. But this is just a normal paragraph. I would say that we want to steer away from too many of these, because ultimately people don't want to just read loads of text. But sometimes it is necessary, and so in this situation it's okay. When I click on an image, I can make it smaller, all the usual things you would expect to find. And then when I've done editing my page, I just click the update button, and our page is now updated. If I wanted to add other bits of information, The way we edit our pages is using what's called blocks. So we add chunks of information or chunks of what we call content onto our page. By scrolling down here and clicking Browse All, you can see all the different blocks I have available to me. And there are add-ons that you can add, that you can put onto your website that will provide even more than this. Some of them are very simple. They range from a paragraph or a heading through to some code and things like photo galleries, files so people can download files, and columns. Columns are a really good way of breaking up information. So there's lots of different options here you have to edit your iChurch website, and we can provide some tips and some hints on the best blocks to use and what would be effective for the bit of information you have to put on your website. But you can see just by a brief scroll that there is so many possibilities, way more than just putting images and text onto your church website. There are all sorts of different features you could put on your iChurch website, one of which is a calendar. You could use your calendar itself in a variety of ways. You could use it just to tell people about your church events, or you could actually use it to show people when your regular activities are on in the halls or whatever additional space you have, or you could use it to show people when they might be able to book something. So if people might be interested in booking your space, then they can see whether it's available or not. And you'll see from this calendar here there are lots of different ways that people can view the events that are going on. So it's a really accessible tool and really helpful. The final thing I want to show you is the kind of original thing that WordPress was built for, because WordPress was originally built as a blogging software. It's over 20 years old, and people began just by putting blog posts on. And WordPress can still be used for blog posts, to use that phrase anyway. We might just call it news or information, but in the WordPress world they're still called posts. And WordPress, your iChurch website, works on both posts and pages. So all of these things in our menu here, these are all pages. But within a page we might display some posts. So for example, at the bottom of our home page we have 3 posts here. And there's different ways in which you could use the posts. So you could siphon your posts, your information or your latest news about children and young people into a specific page about children and young people. That way, only those who need to see information about a particular topic can go and find that without being inundated with all sorts of other information too. We edit posts in the same way we edit pages, so it's really easy to do. And again, there can be training available on how to write a good post and what information is crucial to put in it. The cost of iChurch is $9.99 a month plus VAT, but it's more than just a technical support service that we can offer. If your website goes down, then of course we'll fix it. If you have any technical issues, then of course we'll fix it. But the iChurch team can offer so much more than that, because we are built by churches for churches. So we can offer some advice that other companies would not be able to offer you within the time they have available. iChurch doesn't aim to make a profit, it's only aiming to break even. It's a service, it's a tool given by the United Reformed Church for churches, for faith-based organisations to use as an effective tool for mission. We also offer a service called iChurch Plus, where just for an extra $4.99 a month, we will do a quarterly review of your website. We will look at the effective parts of your website, the parts that maybe need a little bit of work, and we'll give you some general hints and tips on what might make your website that little bit better. As well as that, we will upload content for you. So if you're struggling for people to be able to edit your website, then we can do that for you on a quarterly basis as well. As well as that, we offer email services as well. Emails attached to your website help make it look much more professional. For example, you would have minister@salisburyurc.co.uk, for example, secretary @ and all those kinds of things. You can have as many of those emails as you want. There's an unlimited amount for just another $4.99 a month. There is a reason that we have over 120 iChurch websites. There is a reason that that number is growing every single week. And that's because we are a website provider that is built by churches for churches. So let's chat and see what iChurch could do for you.